Welcome to another crash course in Warframe. Today we're going to be covering Frost, the little frame that could do almost anything it wants. Seriously. Frost is probably the closest you're going to get to a battle mage in Warframe. His single target and AoE crowd control abilities paired with his tanky build makes him a good pick for players looking for a jack-of-all-trades style frame that's durable enough to make up for what few shortcomings it has. And just like any good tank, I'd recommend strapping him with something big, heavy, and capable of cleaving faces off if the situation demands it. And if you really want to be a dick, dress him up in all white and spam abilities near your teammates. Frames like Frost are pretty much the reason there's an option to disable Bloom. Now, he starts off with a good amount of health and power and shares the throne with Rhino for the highest armor, shield capacity, and overall sluggishness. But that's where the similarities to Rhino cease, because as mentioned before, Frost is caster first and toe-to-toe cleaving all-star second. His first ability, Freeze, fires a single target range projectile that does a little bit of damage, but also comes bundled with the stun effect. It's cheap, spammable, can be fired in midair if you'd like, and once you get used to aiming it, it's a great way to temporarily CC tougher enemies, which can really save your ass sometimes. Or more specifically, your energy pool's ass. We all know how precious that is. Be warned though, the effect is cancelled if the target is shot, which makes this ability just a step above useless in random groups. However, it is not immediately cancelled by melee, so for all of you beefy soloers out there, get to cleaving. Ice Wave is definitely competing with Freeze for most situational ability in Frost's arsenal. When activated, a narrow wave, or more appropriately, an icy spike strip, is laid directly out in front of your character. Unfortunately, it does less than stellar damage to enemies unless they conveniently start a conga line directly in front of you. So the best way to maximize Ice Wave would be funneling mobs down a tunnel or on a catwalk and spamming it, but outside of that, it's probably best used when not occupying a mod slot. Now, Frost's third ability, Snow Globe, is probably one of the most co-op friendly defensive abilities currently in the game. When triggered, it drops what literally looks like a giant snow globe at your feet. Now, not only does the shell of the globe protect against incoming gunfire, but any enemy that waltzes in while the globe is active will be slowed to the point where they might as well just be stunned. This, of course, makes it extremely versatile and can be used to do anything from shield the cryopod from gunfire during defense missions, or shield a fallen teammate while you res them, or just create a barrier pretty much wherever the hell you want. Make sure to keep in mind two things. First, you can shoot out of the globe, but enemies and players can't shoot in, so don't lock out a teammate playing at range. Second, even though enemies are slowed, they can and will make every attempt to attack you, especially dickhead ancient disruptors with their dickhead energy sapping attack. Frost's final ability, Avalanche, does AoE damage and has a stun that only lasts as long as animation. But when buffed with range and damage mods, it becomes the most unexpectedly adorable snowball barrage of doom, death, and destruction. Now obviously, with it dealing thousands of damage to each mob, it's gonna wipe the majority of herds you come across, but just like Mag's Crush, it quickly becomes useless once you get into higher level waves of missions, forcing the player to fall back on Snow Globe. Frost gets compared to Rhino more often than it should. Sure, he's big, slow, and tanky, but he can't go toe-to-toe with higher level bosses and mobs due to his lack of an invincibility mechanic. But Frost is a formidable damage dealer in all but the toughest missions, where he'll be forced to play more of a defensive support role instead of Big Daddy Slaughter Factory, a switch that Rhino isn't quite geared for. In the end, Frost is a frame that can carry his own and can make up for slack amongst teammates, assuming, of course, he could keep up with them.